Hey, YouTube, or a TikTok, not, what am I on? What platform? YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Facebook. Now I'm going to go live on YouTube as well. I hope you guys are doing well today. And I'm just going to take you with me for a minute while I get my computer set up here. There we go. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I wanted to get on here before my day got kind of crazy. There we go. There we go. How's everybody doing today? Happy Wednesday. I'm hoping I won't have any connections are unstable. They're trying to reconnect me right now. I've had some internet issues the last couple of days, and that is the reason I haven't really been on much. Okay. I think I have a stable connection, so. But I wanted to get on here because I wanted to do my witchy box haul and a couple other things. So before I get to the witchy box haul, I had a package in the mail the other day. It was from my mother-in-law, and it was from a company called the Mayan Rose. Look real closely. The Mayan Rose. The Mayan Rose. She runs an Etsy store. Really nice stuff. I did not expect all of this, and I will be sharing some of this with my native brothers and sisters because there's really quite a lot of white sage in it. But for I think this bag costs $39.99, and really for $39.99 you really get one hell of a deal here. You get a blue sage. You get a pinyon pine smudge, and pine is an excellent smudge for cleansing, purifying, things like that. Rosemary is another one, very good for protection. Rosemary smudge stick. I've been using a lot of rosemary lately. One of the reasons is my neighbor harvested back in September all of her rosemary, and she was just going to throw it in the trash. And I'm like, no. I'll take it. I took this big old bushel of rosemary, made rosemary bundles out of some of them. And then I also dried it out. So I have a ton of herb of rosemary. I'm thinking about putting it in my store to sell as an herb. It would be, 1 ounce is $1. Just like you would get at the dollar store. But it is a nice herb to have on hand, not just for cooking. Then I got a black sage. Now, black sage is a really nice sage to burn. Very good for purification, exorcism. If you have spirits in the house, it's very good to use for that, to rid the spirits. Black sage. I think I showed you the blue sage, but if I didn't, there's the blue sage. Blue sage is great as well. Then I have a desert magic sage. And this is known for its rich aroma. And then there's a white sage and lavender. So I don't use much white sage. I give a lot of it away to, I let my husband have some, or I give it to my mother-in-law. So some of the natives in my life will be getting a little something. Then I got a cedar stick sage, which is lovely. Cedar sage. And then a white sage and cedar. And last but not least, just a plain old white sage. So I don't use much white sage myself, but one of the natives in my life is definitely going to get this. And what else? A little baggie of Palo Santo. Palo Santo is great to burn for those feel-good vibes, feel-good energy. And last but not least, I also got a Dragon's Blood Sage, which is one of my favorites. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm having issues today. There we go. Dragon's Blood Sage. There goes the phone. We're still live. Dragon's Blood Sage, which is one of my favorites. I love Dragon's Blood Sage. It really intensifies a spell. And along with that, you get a little abalone shell to burn your sage on. That is the Mayan Rose. Go check her out. I love supporting small business owners. And she is definitely a small business owner. Mayan Rose on Etsy. All right. Now, before I get to the main event, I do want to show you something I've added into my store. I was selling 3 of them. I sold 1. I'm down to 2. If the product, I didn't make a whole big batch of this. I made a small batch to see how it would work. But this is called the Lilith Self-Care Kit. And this is my company, Astrology Witch. I believe it is selling for $14.14 plus tax. There's been some issue. Someone posted $15.15. There was too many cooks stirring the pot. Anyway, so I'm selling a little mini box myself here of certain things. And this is the self-care, the Lilith Self-Care. Now, when we think of Lilith, we think of her as being this demon, but she's also great for female empowerment and things like that. So I created, if you know, you know, I created a Lilith Glam Spritz. Now, the Lilith Glam Spritz is not made for your face or your body. It is made strictly for magical purposes. It is made with distilled water. It is got organic orange peel, cinnamon, 1 whole vanilla bean. What else did I put in that? I infused it with rose quartz and red jasper, boiling water. Let it sit overnight. I let it sit in the moonlight. This is a great tool for using to consecrate tools. If you're working with Lilith, mirrors, especially if you're doing any kind of glam spells, this is excellent for that. So I'm selling that along with some heart-shaped amethyst. That's a 30 millimeter amethyst from Sedona. Then I'm selling a 1-inch skull because Lilith loves skulls. And along in with that box, you get a small leptidite heart. These have been a big hit, so I had to order some more. Last Sunday, if you saw my video where I went on a hike 2 Sundays ago, one of the reasons I was in Sedona was to meet my wholesaler as well. And that is a leptidite stone. So you get those 3 stones along with a bracelet of rose quartz. You also get some dragon's blood incense with a little shell to burn your cone incense in. And you get 2 candles. A pink is for self-love and self-care. And you get a red one, and the red one, hi Daisy, and the red one is for igniting passion back into your life. Okay, so you get two candles as well. And I think it's a great little deal for $14.14. It's just my little special of the month. So So you could check that out at astrologywitch.com. If you like what you see here, give us a like. We appreciate that. And all the stuff I showed you in this box from my store, theastrologywitch.com, is all, you can buy all this stuff individually. So I sell the rose quartz bracelets individually. I sell all the stones individually. So if there's something, you know, if you don't want the whole box and there's something there that you might like, I sell them all individually. Okay. All right. Let me get myself organized here. Put that back. Okay. I also do a monthly witch haul from the Witch's Moon, which is this company based out of Phoenix, Arizona. A little sip of coffee here. She always does a fantastic witchy box. And for this one, I do have to put my glasses on because the handwriting on it is so small. I cannot see it. Okay. Bear with me, I got a lot to unpack here. Okay. So this month's theme, I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume it's all about like protection and getting ready for Ostara, which is the spring equinox. My daughter was supposed to highlight this, but she didn't. She's been so busy with school, she did not have any time. Okay, so this is called the Witch's Brew, and it says here, through difficult times and moments of joy and harmony, we find ourselves consumed with the act of creation and contemplation. It is within the wisdom of the earth and divine energies that we source comfort and understanding. We are students of the forest, admirers of the cosmos, and seekers of the divine. Wow, I like that. Isn't that pretty? So this witch's box is really made for like healing and whatnot. The one main thing I wanted to show you. Hold on, you guys. Ah, there it is. Sorry, I had to get up. Okay, so before I show you everything in the witch's box, first I want to show you something that I've been using this book since probably long before any of you were born, okay? This is an old book by an author that is no longer alive anymore. I bought this book in 1989. The Magic of Incense, Oils, and Brews. Magic of Incense, Oils, and Brews. As you can tell, I've taped it. I mean, it is well-worn. It's a well-worn book. It's gotten a lot of use. Now, he was a Wiccan. Now, I'm not Wiccan, but this is my go-to book for any kind of information I need on herbs. He was the master. Unfortunately, he passed away back in like the early 90s from a long illness, and he's no longer with us, Scott Cunningham, but he was an awesome author of all kinds of metaphysical stuff, but he was really the master at oils, incense, brews, candle magic. The witch's box that I got sometimes you get a book. Oh my God, this book. This is all of his books thrown into one big book, made especially for the Witch's Moon. And this is the complete book of incense, oils, and brews by Scott Cunningham. Okay, and this within itself is a treasure. I mean, this within itself is probably worth $50. Okay. And it is got everything in it you need to know. It's got recipes. It tells you, you know, what correlating herb goes with what. It is really an amazing book. I mean, just look at that. And it's got this little bookmark. Hardcover books are very, you know, I'm a book nut, so to get a book like this is just amazing. But it originally started with this, okay? So if, obviously, there's a thing called thriftbooks.com, I buy all my books there because they're incredibly cheap, and I get a good discount on them, even better than Amazon sometimes. I try not to do too much business with Amazon because, hell, Jeff Bezos is rich enough, right? And I'd rather give to a smaller mom and pop company. So thriftbooks.com. I will put a link up in Facebook, and I will put a link up here after my broadcast, so you guys could go to that site. But if you ever find this book on like a used bookstore, grab it. It's great to have in your collection. It's a pillar of knowledge, especially on herbs, brews. I've made some of my best potions out of this book and using the references in this book. So to have this book, I have the granddaddy of them all. All right, enough on my books. Along with the book, we got Hey, Maya! Can you do me a favor? I am live. Could you just bring me the incense burner on the mantle so I could show everybody? So we put stuff all over the house that we got, you know. Don't you love my lovely closet back there? I put what I got immediately on the mantle. So I need my daughter to grab it. But I get some of these cone incense from them. And Sandalwood. Sandalwood is one of my favorite incense. Very woody and earthy. Thank you, ma'am. Along with the incense, you get this absolutely incredible incense burner of the goddess symbol. God, that's so beautiful. Along with your sandalwood. So, incense burner. And then you get a couple of different, I call them resin incense. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness, I know. I'm like, oh. Like I said, ordering her box, because I live in rural Arizona, unless I grow my stuff or order it, I don't have a store to go to buy any of this stuff. I met with a client last week in town, and he said to me, why don't we just meet at my house? Because I don't think Prescott's ready. You know, if you guys have ever had soul readings from me, you know at the end of that reading, I always pull cards for my clients. If you invest the time in me, I'm going to invest the time in you. So he said to me, I feel a little strange sitting in a Denny's while you're pulling tarot cards. I don't think this town's ready for that. And I go, you're absolutely right. We are in rural, conservative Arizona. So we went to his house, and I did his stars there, and it was actually a really very comfortable environment. And you know what's funny? You just never know what You just never know the path a person has walked in their lifetime. The moral of this story is don't judge a book by its cover, because the client said to me, I feel very comfortable with you. Oh, by the way, my mother was Wiccan. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Now, even though I'm not a Wiccan, there's still those certain principles. You could take the witch out of Wicca, but, you could take the witch out of the coven, but you can never take the coven out of the witch, so to speak. So when he said this, I'm like, so you'll be able to assimilate the information I'm giving to you better than someone who was indoctrinated in religion. And it was a really good experience. Anyway, we had to meet at his house because of where I live, where we both live. Anyway, if you're familiar with using resin incense, which is where you burn it on the charcoal, I prefer to use those because it goes a long way. It burns better. Certain deities that I use certain, resin incense. I don't know. I just like the way it smokes and the energy it releases. But so you've got myrrh gum, which is a resin you put on the charcoal blocks. Frankincense, which, it's funny. I'm on a shortage of this stuff, frankincense and myrrh, and I use a lot of it. It's one of my go-to incense oils. It is probably, if you're going to have anything in your magical pantry, frankincense and myrrh is the one go-to because it works well with it. It's an easy thing to consecrate a tool with. You can put the oil on candles. It serves a lot of purposes, but mostly it's about protection and divination. So, two of my favorites. And if you're familiar with working with deities, there's certain deities that prefer certain, not herbs, incense and herbs than other deities. Like Lilith, when I think of Lilith, I always burn like cinnamon or rose. When I think of Lucifer, I always burn frankincense and myrrh. Those, If you're dealing with any of the goetic energies, if you're into that, the goetic energies definitely have an abundance of frankincense and myrrh. One of the other go-to ones that I actually really like a lot is sandalwood. Sandalwood's another one. It's woody. It's kind of a woody scent to it. Just do your research, that's all. And then you get some benzoin gum, which I'm not too familiar with benzoin, but I'm willing to work with it. And let me I just want to make sure I covered it before I move on. Okay, there's the sandalwood, which is basically comes from India and Egypt. And sandalwood is an effective cleanser. It provides us with relief from worry and anxiety. And like I said, it has a beautiful, rich scent. It's really, really nice. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Then there is the Frankincense Tears, they call it. When burned, frankincense releases powerful vibrations which not only uplift those of the areas, but also drive out all of the evil and negativity. So that's a natural cleanser, frankincense. And of course, myrrh is burned same way you would burn the frankincense. And the myrrh it's a healing incense. So it's smoke is there to invoke feelings of healing and purity. And then the benzoin gum, which is not something I'm familiar with working with. The benzoin gum is a purification incense. So you could really take a mixture of everything of all 3 of these and put it on a disc and burn it. A real nice little gift, considering I was getting ready to order some. What else? This is called Speak to Me, and it's just like a purifying salt. I told you, I always get the hiccups when I come on here. You could put it in your bath. You could do a ritual bath. I like to do my ritual baths after spell work, just because, especially if I'm doing something where I need to get that energy off of me. Lately, I have been doing a lot of spell work for clients with binding, banishing. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot. So I have had to take a lot of spiritual baths, because anytime we bind and we banish, we should always do a spiritual bath to get that residue off of us. Then we also got last 2 more things and I'm really done, or 3 more things. I got an Ostara oil that I'll anoint this candle with, that's been dressed and ready to go for the spring equinox. What I love about this witch's box is you always get a beeswax candle. And if you know anything about candles, you know that these are probably one of the most expensive candles, the beeswax. They're not cheap and they burn really well. So this will be my, to honor the changing of the seasons. Next month, I will be using this. And last but not least, there was a little card that came with it. I don't know what happened to it. You get 4 little cards, and so these cards talk all about, one is about attraction and the magical properties of attraction and certain herbs. Then you have one for serenity. Serenity. Purification. Purification. And psychism. Psychism. Or psychic abilities. And what I love about these little cards is, so I have a couple of books of shadows. Ooh, I have, hi Jayshree, how are you? I have a couple of books of shadows. I have smaller ones. Then I have a great big one. And what I like about my great big one, this is one of my book of shadows here. Astro Witch. I had this specially made. Knowledge is power with the dragon. What I like about the big book is because you get these cards, not that I'm going to show you my book of shadows, but you know, it is a private thing. But here, for example, the last witch's box I got for Christmas, around Christmas time, there was the Yule blessing card. So these little sleeves work really nicely. Facebook can see, but YouTube can't. These little sleeves work really nicely for putting her cards into. So that's one of my book of shadows, and all of these things go in there. So, and that is the Witchy Haul box for this month, the month of February. At first, I thought that the Super Bowl was on Valentine's Day, and I'm like going, wow, there's going to be a lot of pissed off women, you know. And then I realized, I looked at the calendar and I said, okay, so it's the 13th is the day for the men and the 14th is the day for the women. And I'm going to come on here before Sunday and we're going to talk about the origins of Valentine's Day. There used to be a holiday. Hold on, let me. Bear with me, I'm bringing it up. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. There used to be, and this is kind of where the origins of Valentine's Day come from. There used to be a holiday called Lupercalia. Oh my, Lupercalia. Lupercalia. I think I'm saying that right. I should. It is Italian. And it was a Roman festival that was celebrated on the 15th of every February. And it was also known as Feberatus. After it was about purification, it was about fertility in some ways. It was observed by the Romans. I'll do a little more research on this. In fact, I wrote an article about this about 8 years ago. So I want to go look for that article and reference it. But unlike Valentine's Day, this Lupercalia Day actually was a bloody, violent, and sexually charged celebration. And they did a lot of animal sacrifices. It was like an orgy, basically. Random matchmaking and coupling in hopes of warding off evil spirits and infertility. But I'm going to explain more about that come Friday or Saturday. Might get back on here Sunday. It is Super Bowl. I know, I'm not a fan. I could care less. Super Bowl. But I want to talk more about this because it's interesting how, just like Candlemas, which we had our Imbolg on February 2nd, they turned it into Groundhog Day, which is actually the midpoint between winter and spring. So we have 6 more weeks of winter before the spring equinox. But Lupercalia, yes, we're going to talk more about that in the days to come. But I just wanted to get on here. It's kind of a short and sweet broadcast today. Full moon is when? 17th? So I'll be getting that out to the general public. Patreon, if you're on Patreon, keep your eyes open. And if you are interested in joining Patreon, you can go to my links on Facebook and YouTube. And you can join Patreon and get all the full forecasts, all the full astrology forecasts for the month, days of caution, things like that. You get a lot of extras, and the prices in my store are different for Patreon than they are for the general public. Patreon gets a much better deal. And that is it. We're done. Thanks for tuning, you guys. Daisy, thanks for tuning. All of you out there in YouTube world, thank you. And you guys have a great day. I have an appointment to get my car serviced, so I am out of here. Be safe, and I'll see you guys this weekend, okay? Ciao.